it's a shame that this issue is being discussed after 68 years. That itself is something that is worrisome to me. Because in a truly inclusive society, this should not have happened.
Education indicator, health indicator, you take any social or economic indicator, there is huge deprivation and there is a very large strata of society which is lagging way behind.
India has got tremendous potential for growth and economic prosperity. If there is one issue that can derail this progress towards economic prosperity, it is this issue of Dalits, issue of scheduled caste, scheduled tribes.
The tribal people had access to land, had access to forests and other resources. But what happened is that over a period of time, in the name of development, you took away people from the lands and livelihoods. Dalit situation has been the social inequality is compounded by growing levels of economic inequality. So they are caught between poverty and social inequality.
Even within the same economic strata, a Dalit or an Adivasi does not, even if he or she is rich enough to be in higher economic strata, they do not get the social standing or social recognition.
कुठं कामाला गेलो त्याच्यासाठी धान्य पुरत नाही, रेशन कार्ड नाही, काय नाही. तर कोणा शेतीवर गेलो ते आणताव तसे पोरांना देताव, त्या पण पुरत नाही.
आज मैं टॉयलेट की साफ सफाई का काम कर रहा हूँ. काम की ट्राई करते करते जब मैंने बाथरूम का काम मिला, काम इसलिए करना पड़ा क्योंकि मेरे जो पूर्वज दादा परदादा से लेकर पिताजी से लेकर ये काम करते आ रहे थे.
At the end of the day, you can't legislate compassion. Compassion has to come from the heart as far as this deprived class of people is concerned. When it comes to Tatas, to me, the T in Tata has stood for trust, transparency. In fact, I call this Bombay House of Ethics.
And for corporates like Tata's that have always led the way in nation building, and I'm delighted that Tatas are taking a significant lead as part of the diversity program in doing this.
So the Tata Affirmative Action is to motivate the Tata Group companies to come forward and proactively engage in activities in a way whereby tribal and Dalit children would gain access to education, tribal men and women would have access to skill development, and provide support in finding employment, and also create entrepreneurs among the tribal people and Dalits.
I think it has always been the spirit of Tatas to give back to the society, to accept a social commitment, to give back to those who are lagging behind. The work which has been done under the affirmative action by Tata is phenomenal. It is unmatched, and this is not because of the government regulations. I think Tata started doing that way before government came up with the policy of affirmative action.
You would recognize the fact that affirmative action per se has even been controversial. But for us, it is not the politics that interests us. It is the opportunity to serve. I think when we show our love and affection to the communities, what we are really saying is we as Tatas are committed to providing a voice to the voiceless. That probably is the underpinning around which the whole concept of affirmative action comes together.
Today, it's a matter of some satisfaction that almost every Tata company which has an Indian operation is signed on to this movement, believes in it, and certainly the leadership in it believes in it as the right thing to do,
Therefore, our first job as leadership is to make sure that we create purpose in our people similar to what we believe is genuinely an objective that we must pursue. We must get a strong conviction built into our employee force.
A lot of it is about the behavior of the leaders. The leaders have to lead the way. So it's not just left to the CSR team or the corporate services team to run with it. Line managers take responsibility for it.
Now when you go and speak to many of our departments in the company, they would speak about what they are doing their bit in terms of building this inclusiveness in their thought process, inclusiveness in their process. Fear of this whole process may bring down performance has been laid to rest in the last 4 or 5 years of work on this.
So we in Tatas have actually joined hands as a collective. We bring in our wisdom, our strength of togetherness, our deep sense of social purpose and innate commitment. And we meld these to come together as an affirmative action force.
We were helped along the way about 5 years ago when we adapted a model from the Tata business model to excellence to embed this whole movement in the companies in the way that TBM works through instilling a process-driven approach which works on intent, on approach, on deployment, and finally, of course, on the outcome.
Today we have a large pool of high-quality assessors who visit different companies who are engaged in affirmative action programs. This process creates leadership both at the assessor level who learn from the companies and also within the company a very large awareness and a commitment to the affirmative action program.
As an assessor, we not only get opportunities to look deeper into the context of why the discrimination happens, but also look into what the companies are uniquely positioned to make a positive difference to these communities.
And it has changed the way I perceive people around me, the way I interact with people around me, that sensitivity meter which has come in thanks to the affirmative action assessment processes.
We chose change makers within the company. We trained them a lot, and I think there was a lot of openness to learning.
It's a great thing in Tata. We could see we are open to positive criticism and we are open to constructive kind of feedbacks.
What has been done, I think, by the Tata Group, I think we can all take justifiable pride in that, but in the belief that we need to do something much more.
So I think we need to concern ourselves with all the 4 E's. But there are 2 in particular that I think many of our companies do actually control, and these really are around employment and entrepreneurship. If there is more that we can do on these 2 fronts, both within our companies and also working actively with our value chain partners, I think there's a tremendous amount that we can achieve.
It is in the enlightened self-interest of Indian industry to create a more inclusive society.
The day we are able to see every flower bloom from amongst the 300 million, we are closer to our goal. And we have no intention to rest till then.
I think corporate social responsibility, the 2% of net profit being reserved for it is a good idea. But what do you do with it? I think it's very, very important. And that is where I think really innovation is required. What you did for mobile in terms of creating access equality despite income inequality, can you do it in education? Can you do it in health? Can you do it in financial services? And the answer is yes. To me, a happy society is an inclusive society. I want to see a smile on the face of not some, but each of the 1.25 billion Indians. That is my idea of my India.
You know, India needs to be a happy country where everybody has equal opportunities. When you talk of equal opportunities, we are talking about equality of opportunities and not the equality of outcomes. Outcomes can never be equal.
We would want to cherish a classless society. We want to cherish an India which is enjoying its opportunities, which is enjoying its growth.
Our country without the caste system, I think, would look very similar to a kindergarten classroom. I have a very different take on this. I think just like kids who are completely innocent, for them it doesn't matter beyond your first name.
I think I would imagine of an India where there is social and economic inclusiveness, where all people have access to educate, have better access to healthcare, and able to derive a meaningful livelihood.
Where every person feels that they are a valued and valuable member of society, contributing something to improving the quality of life for everyone.
Hopefully a rich India, an India which is proud of what it's able to offer to all its people.
India where everyone is equal would look beautiful.
Clearly, if one goes back to what Gandhi said, which is Swaraj, which he actually meant freedom at individual level, and Sarvodaya, which means serving everybody, and Antayodaya, which is serving the last man in the queue. I think the fundamental issue we are trying to address through this affirmative action is the Antayodaya, which is the last person in the queue. And then no longer do we need to speak about the Gandhi's principles. Everybody would have Swaraj, and there would be no need to do Antayodaya, because Antayodaya would have become Sarvodaya. It would have become part of everyone.